There exists a group of creatures in this world that have been discovered by only a few people, but have never been proven to be real. These creatures are collectively known as unidentified mysterious animals, abbreviated as UMA. Hello everyone, welcome to the UMA series. The state of Illinois is located in the Midwest region of the United States, and its southern area is covered with vast forests, endless fields, and sparsely populated regions that seem to provide the perfect setting for strange occurrences. Over the years, aside from mystical legends rooted in Native American culture, there have been countless bizarre urban tales, such as the giant monster of Murfreesboro, the Devil's Bridge at Klein's Corners, and the Devil's Child at Hull Mansion, along with numerous reports of unidentified creatures, all of which have shrouded this region in mystery. And today, I will share with you a creature that I mentioned in a previous episode, which is also one of the strangest beings in the catalog of unidentified creatures, the Enfield Monster. The Enfield Monster, also known as the Enfield Horror, was named after the town of Enfield in White County, Illinois, where it was first sighted. The term horror originated from how the media described the chaos caused by the creature. The Enfield Monster is often described as a small primate-like creature, about 4 to 5 feet tall, covered in gray skin, with short forelimbs, and most bizarrely, according to eyewitnesses, it had 3 hind legs of equal length and emitted terrifying screeching sounds. The Enfield Monster incident, also known as the Enfield Horror, mainly took place in the 1970 seconds. However, since the sources of some reports from that time are difficult to verify, and due to variations in how newspapers describe the events, I will try to compile all related facts and share them with you in chronological order. Around 9:30 p.m. on the 25th of April, 1973, a 50-year-old veteran named Henry McDaniel returned home to find the lights still on, and his 2 children, Henry Jr. and Lil, staring at him in fear. They told him that something had been trying to climb into the house, clawing violently at the door as if attempting to climb onto the air conditioner to get inside. At first, Henry didn't think much of it, assuming it was just a few stray cats passing by, so he told his children to go to bed. But at that very moment, the sound of scratching at the door echoed again. Despite his children's pleas to stay away, Henry stepped closer and opened the door, and the next moment, he saw a creature that sent chills down his spine. In a later newspaper article, his account was quoted verbatim. It had 3 legs, a short body, 2 short arms, pink eyes as big as flashlights, and its skin was gray. When it stood upright, it was about 4.5 to 5 feet tall. Henry said that the creature was trying to break into his house. Thinking about that, he immediately slammed the door shut, ran to his bedroom, grabbed a .22 caliber pistol and a flashlight, then returned to the front door. At that moment, the monster was standing between 2 rose bushes, only about 12 feet from his house. Without taking time to look carefully, he immediately raised his gun and fired 4 shots at it. Henry insisted that he had hit the creature with his first shot, causing it to let out a strange noise that sounded like a hiss from a cat. But the bullet seemed to do little harm, as the creature merely screamed in rage and then leapt away, disappearing into the bushes near the railroad tracks. He described that with just 3 jumps, the creature covered about 50 feet, a leaping ability he had never seen in any known animal. After regaining his composure, Henry immediately called the local police. When the officers arrived, they didn't find any creature, but they did discover many strange tracks around his house. These footprints looked like dog tracks, but had 6 round pads on the soles. None of the people present could identify what kind of creature they belonged to. One of the police officers named James Matherly stated that Henry McDaniel appeared completely calm and rational at the time. Naturally, the creature's jumping ability led many to suspect that Henry might have seen a kangaroo, but he denied it, stating firmly that it was neither a dog nor a kangaroo, as he had once kept a pet kangaroo while serving in Australia and could never have mistaken one. Henry further claimed that if the creature were ever found, people would realize that it wasn't the only one of its kind and that they were not beings from Earth at all. The first news report about this incident was published in the Carmi Times of Illinois on the 26th of April, 1973, just one day after it happened. However, I wasn't able to find an online archive of the original article. What we can find today are reports published on April 27 inches, the Mount Vernon Register News and Calumet Times, along with several other newspapers from April 27 to April 30. As the story spread across the state, many media outlets sent reporters to Enfield to investigate and interview local residents for more first-hand information. Among them was Rick Rainbow, news director of the commercial radio station Kokomo FM 100.5, who revealed that during his interviews, at least 3 local residents claimed they too had seen the strange creature. One of the witnesses was a 10-year-old boy named Greg Garrett, who lived near Henry's house. Greg said that on the evening of April 25, about half an hour before Henry encountered the creature, he had already come across it. Around 9 p.m. that night, while Greg was playing in his backyard trying to catch a firefly, a creature suddenly jumped out from the bushes, and one of its 3 legs stepped on his shoe, tearing his sneaker completely apart. Terrified, he immediately ran inside to call his parents, but when they came out, there was nothing to be seen. According to Greg's description, the creature stood about 4 to 5 feet tall, its body covered in smooth gray skin that oozed a slimy substance, with 3 legs, 2 short arms, and sharp claws at the ends of its limbs. The situation gradually became more confusing and unpredictable, and by May 7-8, 1973, major newspapers once again reported that the monster had been sighted in Enfield. Here, I'll divide the content into 2 parts, one covering the radio interview with Greg, and the other about the first witness, Henry McDaniel, who once again reported seeing the creature. Around 3 a.m. on the 6th of May, 1973, Henry was awakened by the sound of his dog barking. When he turned on his flashlight and looked out the window, he suddenly saw that strange creature standing on the railroad tracks about 50 feet from his house. Henry's exact words were, "I saw something moving on the tracks. It just stood there. I didn't shoot at it or make any other move. I saw it walk north along the tracks, but it wasn't moving fast, and nothing else unusual happened." Later that same night, news reporter Rick Rainbow from a radio station arrived in Enfield with 3 other investigators and was lucky enough to spot the creature. The sighting took place in an abandoned house near Henry's home. Rick described the creature as being about 5 to 5.5 feet tall, dark gray in color, slightly hunched, and running away quickly as soon as it noticed people approaching. Since the creature had its back turned to the witnesses, they couldn't clearly observe its features. However, they managed to record a piercing scream that the creature emitted as it fled. What puzzles me is that according to the information I've found, this recording has never been released on any public channel, not even by their own station. News of the monster's reappearance caused quite a sensation. More and more people with unclear intentions began venturing deep into the Enfield woods, forcing local police to issue a warning prohibiting firearms. On May 8 of the same year, 5 young men were arrested in Enfield for illegal possession of guns and lacking hunting licenses. Police Chief Roy Pichard stated that ever since the creature appeared, many people had gone into the woods and started shooting at anything that moved. The reason local residents didn't dare go outside during that period wasn't because they feared the monster, but because they feared those loaded guns. However, 3 out of the 5 men claimed that they had seen and shot at what they believed to be the Enfield Monster. According to a news interview dated the 9th of May, 1973, records show that a 9-year-old named Roger Tappy was the first to see it. Around late morning on May 8, while they were searching for tracks along the railroad about 2 to 3 miles from Henry's house, Roger suddenly heard a noise. He told his friend he wanted to take a picture of the monster, but when he turned and saw that flat face, every thought vanished, leaving only sheer terror. He described the creature as being about 50 yards away, with part of its body hidden by bushes. Roger fired at its leg, but probably missed, as the creature dashed away at an incredible speed. Roger remarked that nothing hit by a bullet could possibly move that fast. Another witness, 20-year-old Michael Mogul, described the creature as about 5 feet tall, covered in thick, dark gray fur, with a flat and hideous face, yet capable of moving with incredible speed. Later, after being reprimanded and paying their fines, they were released. Verified sightings ceased after that, and locals speculated that the monster might have been shot dead, though no one wanted to search for its body. Cryptozoologist Professor Loren Coleman also visited Enfield in early May 1973 to conduct systematic interviews with several witnesses. He personally examined the house that had been attacked by the creature and even heard a high-pitched scream resembling that of a banshee in the woods. But aside from that, there were no further discoveries. By the 15th of May, 1973, about 3 weeks after the initial incident, the 10-year-old boy mentioned earlier, Greg Garrett, suddenly contacted researchers at Western Illinois University and admitted that his story had been a hoax meant to tease Henry and play a prank on the reporters who had come from other places. There were rumors that Greg's parents, annoyed by the constant influx of strangers and phone calls, had pressured him into saying so. According to information from an article written by Professor Loren Coleman on a cryptozoology website, Greg passed away in the 1,980 seconds due to family conflict. However, throughout those 10+ years, Greg himself never once came forward to clarify the incident. In fact, Henry himself said in several reports that he had received more than 200 phone calls from other places within a single week. He even considered selling his house, and the public pressure he faced can easily be imagined. The entire Enfield Horror episode, from the first sighting to the influx of outsiders staying in town until the news eventually cooled down, lasted about 5 to 6 months. In the end, people's excitement faded away after weeks of fruitless searching. However, speculation about the true nature of the Enfield Monster has remained a hot topic online. The first theory was that it might have been a kangaroo. Its short arms, powerful jumping ability, and large tail, possibly mistaken for a third leg, made this theory widely accepted by the public at the time. Naturally, the main reason for this was that on the 15th of May in 1973, Enfield's finance officer, Miltis Fields, received a letter from the state of Ohio. The letter's author, named Alan Yorkshire, stated that the description of the Enfield Monster matched a pet kangaroo that had escaped from him the previous year. He offered a $500 reward, hoping local residents could help ensure the animal's safety, and said he would personally travel to Enfield the following Wednesday. However, the flaw in the kangaroo theory lies in Henry's strong insistence that the creature was definitely not a kangaroo. Moreover, the straight-line distance from Elyria, Ohio, to Enfield is nearly 400 miles, making it hard to imagine how a kangaroo could have traveled across half of Ohio and the entire state of Indiana in less than a year without anyone noticing. Furthermore, regarding the man who wrote the letter, claiming to search for his pet, I was unable to find any follow-up reports, Whether or not he ever found the kangaroo remains unknown. As for the opinion of cryptozoologist Professor Loren Coleman, as I mentioned earlier, he firmly believed that the Enfield monster should be classified as a member of the devil monkey group. He stated that the creature in Enfield was very different from the Dover demon, resembling a combination of the phantom kangaroo, the devil monkey, and the swamp ape. In his book, Mysterious America, he also included the 1,973 investigation as part of the devil monkey cases, once again referring to his proposed great ape theory. However, the three-legged detail in this conclusion remains difficult to explain satisfactorily. I won't elaborate on the great ape theory here, but anyone interested can check out my previous video. In 2012, American anthropologist and cryptozoologist Dale Drennan wrote in his blog column, A Guide to Zoology, that many people speculated the Enfield monster might be an alien life form or some terrifying kind of demon. However, he believed that most sightings and encounters with so-called aliens could be explained by natural theories or man-made causes. The Enfield monster, he suggested, was likely a strange but entirely tangible creature, possibly an unknown species, or even the result of genetic mutation in certain animals. The final theory, which is also the most widely accepted today, leans toward the idea that the entire Enfield Horror was a result of individual or collective emotional influence, leading to mass hysteria, tension, and self-suggestion. In other words, collective psychological disorder, a mental or emotional disturbance caused by stress factors spreading through a group of people. In 1978, a research team led by sociology professor David Miller from Western Illinois University conducted systematic field interviews, investigations, and theoretical analysis of the Enfield panic incident. Later that year, they published a paper in a sociology anthology titled A Critical Examination of Social Contagion and Collective Behavior, The Case of the Enfield Monster. The article reconstructed the timeline of events and summarized interviews with nearby residents. Overall, they concluded that this was a typical case of a mass psychological disturbance outbreak. Of course, there were many triggering factors, including natural disasters that year, political tension, and economic recession. Meanwhile, the media and growing crowds accelerated the spread of the phenomenon. When parents began warning their children not to go out at night and to stay away from Henry's house, those subtle suggestions became the perfect catalyst. Naturally, some residents remained skeptical of the Enfield monster, while others admitted seeing animals resembling cows, bears, or deer. Some even implied that old Henry had an extremely vivid imagination. Still, that conclusion was merely another speculation about the creature. From a cryptozoological perspective, however, the Enfield monster case still contains traces worth investigating. At the very least, I personally believe that despite ridicule, accusations, and even the threat of arrest, Henry McDaniel steadfastly stood by his account. With nothing to gain, and even eventually having to sell his house, he never changed his testimony. I believe that he truly saw something beyond his understanding. Furthermore, if we disregard the three-legged detail as a possible observational error, similar sightings were reported across Illinois around the same time. For example, a month after the Enfield incident, police in Edwardsville received 3 reports. Some witnesses claimed to have seen a creature about 5.5 feet tall, with glowing red eyes and a musty odor, lurking in the trembling forest. Some even reported being scratched by the creature. Many similar reports were circulating at the time. Therefore, regarding the Enfield incident, I personally lean toward Professor Coleman's view that it was quite possibly an undiscovered species of primate. What puzzles me is why evidence such as footprint photos and sound recordings were never released to the public. I'll leave the final speculation time segment of this video to those watching right now. Whether such a bizarrely shaped beast truly exists deep within those dense forests remains an unsolved mystery. Well then, as always, the unknown will always be greater than the known. That's the true allure of Uma. That concludes today's video. Thank you for watching.